Alright, spic is a dirty, hateful word, and I apologize for having used it in this blog, but I think it's necessary because it has come to my attention that none of you have actually read this bill. If you had read this bill, you would be appalled by the fact that they use the word spic on the very first page of the bill. Before we can talk about this and discuss it, I need you to actually go to the first page and look and read the passage where it uses this word. So here's what I need you to do. Pause this video, open up a new window, go into your Google search there and type in SB 1070. Once you get the bill up and running, the first page is actually the title, but the second page with all the words on it, you're going to read, let's see, section 2, paragraph B. And you're going to see this word in the third line right after reasonable. So pause this, SB 1070, come back when you're done reading that passage, and then we'll discuss it, all right? Oh, you're done. All right. For those of you who didn't take the time to actually look up what I asked you to read and can't even take the time out of your day to read this bill, get the hell off my YouTube page because you don't deserve to debate this topic if you can't even read one article of one law. For those of you who actually went and read that part of the bill, I apologize for such a ridiculous trick to try to make you actually read the most important paragraph of the bill. Obviously, they're not going to flat out put spic right in the bill, although some of you think that they did. Here's what you read. You read a part where it says, blah, 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 state where reasonable suspicion exists that someone is an illegal alien, essentially. Here's a term where some of you have heard this on the news and you're just believing what this newscaster says. And what they're saying is Arizona just passed a law where cops can stop you and demand papers if you look suspicious. Nowhere in this law does it say anything remotely like that. Furthermore, the term reasonable suspicion was not put in this law so the racist lawmakers of Arizona could hide the word spic somewhere in the bill. Reasonable suspicion was put in this law because it has a legal history. It has a court history. Reasonable suspicion specifically means there are certain things that you absolutely cannot use as an excuse for why you search someone. If you don't believe me, which I wouldn't if I were you because you don't know me, if you don't believe me, do the same little Google thing and look up Terry versus Ohio. It's a Supreme Court decision of 1968. You're going to find in there a long history of this term reasonable suspicion. Subsequent court cases have clearly stated that racial profiling is never reasonable suspicion for anything a cop would do. It is unreasonable suspicion. The reason that this term is put into the Arizona law is so cops know that, if they didn't already know, cops know that racial profiling is not allowed. You cannot go into a courtroom and say, he was brown, so I had to take him down. That's not going to cut it. If you're using race as justification for why you search someone, you are doing something illegal. It's written here in the law. So all of you in opposition to this, maybe you need to actually get some education on legal speak or just Google this shit so you understand it more. Another thing that you need to look at, in this very same section, it says, for any lawful contact made by a law enforcement officer. All right, that's the first part. Before they even get reasonable suspicion, they have to have lawful contact. So you were speeding and they stopped you, or your tags were expired, or your neighbor called the police because it sounded like you were beating your wife. Something like that. They're not going to stop you because you painted in big bold letters on the back of your truck, I am an illegal immigrant. They're not going to stop you. You have to be doing something illegal. You have to be not following traffic laws, something of that nature. So not only does it say in here that reasonable suspicion is, well, that racial profiling is not reasonable suspicion, but before they even have a chance to come to that conclusion, you already have to have done something wrong. One thing that I'd like to cover before we talk about what's probably going to happen and how this is going to look is some some misguided logic that's floating around out there, because some of you actually know that the law is a perfectly just law. It doesn't specifically mention Mexican immigrants or Canadian immigrants. It's just an enforcement of what's already federal law. But some of you have come to this conclusion, and now you're saying, well, yeah, but Arizona cops might racially profile anyway, and they might enforce this law unequally. Let me get this straight. We have a perfectly just law, but you're saying that some cops are going to be racist, so we shouldn't pass the just law because there are bad cops. So, should we get rid of the speed limit because there might be racist cops who are only going to stop Mexicans? Obviously not. We get rid of the racist cops. All right? You cannot be on the cell phone while you're making this video. You cannot be a law enforcement officer and use race. It's illegal. It's written in this law. It's written in a shit ton of laws. All right? You can't stop someone because they're brown and then search them for marijuana. You can stop someone because they were speeding and then you smell pot and then you have reasonable suspicion. So the whole point that Arizona cops might be racist, well, maybe, so get rid of the racist cops. The last thing I want to touch on here, which I think people are having a hard time grasping what this is all about, because a lot of you don't live in Arizona and you have no concept of why the hell we're even talking about this. All right, here's what's going to happen. If you're an illegal immigrant and you're driving along, you do not have a valid Arizona driver's license because it is illegal for you to get one. If you have an Arizona driver's license, you either stole it or it's fake or something, but it is not valid. Also, you cannot register your car if you're an illegal immigrant. You might be able to get insurance because, you know, I don't know what kind of shoddy company you may get it from, but maybe you can get insurance. I don't know. If you're driving along with your expired tags because you can't get updated tags because you're illegal, the cop's going to stop you. They stop everybody no matter what your skin color is if you have expired tags. When you get stopped, and most of you have been stopped by the police before, they are going to ask you for your license, registration, and proof of insurance. How in the fuck are you going to show him valid license, registration, and proof of insurance if you are illegal? It does not take profiling to come to this conclusion. I have a very close personal family member who got stopped for something I don't remember, did not have his ID on him, and they detained him until one of us could go and bring him his ID. If the cop stops you and you cannot identify yourself, they are going to detain you. This happened to my family member. I don't know if you can tell, but the Thompson clan is white. They will stop anyone and detain them if you cannot identify who you are. If you're illegal, this is especially going to be a problem because you're not going to have valid ID, okay? What most likely happens is if they do identify you, and where this is going to become a problem is a lot of illegal immigrants, and I'm not saying a majority, but a decent amount get stopped for specific things, and they are already in the police database because they have a violent criminal record. Let me ask you this. Why on earth would we not allow our local cops who have stopped someone for completely legal reasons and they find that person is an illegal immigrant with a violent or drug-related criminal record, why would we not allow our cops to detain that person? This part is just my opinion. I think obviously cops should be able to do that. Furthermore, why is it that there are millions of people waiting in every other country in the world legally to come here for 10, 15, 20 years, but we are going to let violent offenders stay here and be citizens because we don't want to offend Mexicans? I don't know. Steve Nash, you got an answer for me? No? Alright, discuss it. Let me know what you think. Let me know how racist I am, blah, blah, blah.